The last day of climbing Mount Everest is technical and extreme. High winds and thin air make each step a daunting task. The ultimate goal and adventure, to view China and Nepal from the highest vantage point on Earth. 11 athletes are crossing Costa Rica, and the two teams finishing last will eliminate 2 of their own to determine who will have a chance to summit Mount Everest.
I wonder how much Jesse Haynes really is in it for Mount Everest.
Misfortune strikes even the strongest team members.
Life's not fair, but you still have to deal with what hand you're given, and that's what I'm trying to do now.
Bye, take care of yourself.
I really enjoy being on a team with Troy.
Will Eric continue to feel like the odd man out?
Let's be honest, I've pulled them across Costa Rica.
That doesn't work. That doesn't work in the mountains, that doesn't work at altitude, and that doesn't work climbing. I feel like I kind of blew it for our team. I flipped.
If it comes down to Jesse Petit or Hansa, I'd have to say Hansa.
Unfortunately, Jesse, just had the least experience, but that's the only way I can make the decision and feel good about it.
It's like we were all pulling for each other the whole time.
Will athletic skills be the basis of judgment? Or will injuries and self-preservation be the deciding factors as to who will be eliminated? It began in Moab, rock, river, and sand. Next, the Rocky Mountains, bitter cold and altitude. Then the Kalahari's scorching sun. Today, Costa Rica's heat and humidity. Still to come, Iceland's Arctic winter. All of these extremes ultimately to have the opportunity to climb Mount Everest. Costa Rica, located in the Central American land bridge, is the temporary home to our global extremists as they confront their athletic prowess in this exotic landscape. We're in the final week of the coast-to-coast ruta that transects Costa Rica. After months of eating, sleeping, training, and racing together, many of the athletes are good friends, but some are frustrated by their weaker teammates. Team Magellan celebrates being in the lead. Columbus continues to enjoy each other's company and maintains second.
Woo, way to go, Ted.
Shackleton, in third, struggles with personal dynamics.
Alrighty guys, day 4 of the ruta. We start out with a 12-mile team time trial. At the first marker, each team gets to drop 2 people. Shackleton gets to drop 1.
The athletes have completed 1/3 of the 280-mile journey on their coast-to-coast expedition.
3, 2, 1, go! Team Shackleton is ready to go. Go! All right, Magellan, go!
Day 4 of the coast-to-coast route begins with a 12-mile time trial along dirt roads amidst the sugarcane fields. The teams must strategize and drop the weakest team member at 3 different checkpoints, so only the fastest riders race all the way to the finish.
Pick up the back of the bike. Go.
Traveling around the world with the global extremists, the Toyota 4Runner is an essential team member. In Costa Rica, they will move camera crews and judges, following the athletes all the way along the route from the Pacific Ocean to the Atlantic.
When Shackleton was racing, they were always really racing. I mean, they were always out to win, out to be in front, and I think sometimes they lost a little bit of the big picture of that every moment in time is important, and regardless of where you are in the race, you still need to enjoy yourself, you still need to enjoy who you're racing with. We maybe didn't have that same edge, and to me that's really important.
We had planned to be steady, to try and be smart, and I think as a team, we've done that pretty well, and I think that's kind of what's kept us together.
10K. At the first checkpoint, strategy requires the teams to drop the slowest and the weakest. Shackleton leaves Sam, Columbus, Petit, and Hansa, Magellan, Trent, and Colleen.
That was tough.
Hanging with the team, doing the best I can. They're totally supportive, so I love my team. Plus, I'm gonna have a really cool scar.
Petit's teammates Jesse and Ted draft each other and motor ahead.
I wonder if there's more than a handful of people here who really signed up with Everest in mind as a goal. There's a big difference there between who knows, Everest and who has experience to get up there, or high altitude experience, mountaineering experience, what have you.
Sugar mill, that's where you drop off.
Okay. And and who here really hasn't climbed at all and is starting off possibly with Everest as one of the first mountains they climb. I wonder, you know, how much Jesse Haynes really is in it for Mount Everest.
For the time being, Jesse Haynes, an avid biker at home, focuses on the race at hand.
Look at him go. He never runs out of gas. Man, I'm not a sprinter, but he is.
My brother raced cross country in high school, and he pushed himself so far to the limit that he would actually puke after the race. And after I got into racing and noticed that once you get to a certain point, you know, you've gotten to the limit, but you actually push yourself past that limit. I've actually gotten to the point where I've, you know, puked a couple times.
Jesse hammers into the finish first, but will have to wait for the results to see who is in first overall.
Here comes Steve Columbus, they're 43 minutes out, right in here. There's 38, 43-33.
Andy and Jesse of Team Magellan and Troy and Eric of Team Shackleton duel for position.
They still got a lot of muscle power, Shackleton. And they still got some good brain power, too.
They are halfway across Costa Rica, and with elimination looming, Jesse Rickert is quick to assess the competition.
I don't know if they're necessarily the strongest mountain biking group, but that's yet to be seen.
At the last checkpoint before the finish, Shackleton and Magellan drop Troy and Andy.
Yeah.
With 3 miles to go, Jesse and Eric, the strongest bikers on their teams, duke it out.
Eric is a powerhouse.
I've always been a believer that leaders lead from the front, not from behind, but we don't lead through words, we lead through our actions. The way I do that is by giving 110%, 100% of the time.
Two teams, if Magellan makes it by 45-33, they're gonna have it. 45-26, 45-28. Magellan came in fastest and won 2 flags today in 43 minutes and 26 seconds.
I mean, we were just hammering. And,
Yeah, but I wasn't puking when I crossed the line, so I could have gone harder.
Well, hey, the best can always get better.
I'm really mad. I'll get over it, but I thought I could pull it off for our team today.
Jesse and I had 2 advantages. One, we could work together, even though Jesse didn't want to take the lead very often.
Global Extremes Mount Everest, Forerunners of Adventure. Presented by the all-new Forerunner, larger, more powerful, more capable. And brought to you in part by Expedia.com. Don't just travel, travel right. And by the United States Marine Corps. The change is forever. And by Subway, fresh-made sandwiches on fresh-baked bread. Subway, eat fresh. The athletes are ready for their next set of instructions for the Ruta.
Alrighty guys, this is the start of our next event. Remember, you gotta buy all your supplies with the money I gave you by the time you get to the finish line this afternoon. Remember, today's Sunday, and I don't know how many shops are open along the way. Girls, don't spend too much time shopping.
I haven't even seen the list. The boys made the list, so I haven't seen it. I can't really say what our strategy is, but I think they're gonna give us each a part of the list, and we're gonna just try to do it as fast as possible.
We're still kind of discussing it, trying to figure out if we want to go super lightweight so we don't have to cook anything, or if we want to get some pasta or something that we have to cook. But I think we're kind of leaning towards peanut butter.
The teams were each given 10,000 colones, the equivalent of a mere $26, to buy food for 2 days, including an overnight expedition into the remote jungle with only a cooking pot.
My tactic is to block. I'm the blocker. Shop's closed.
I think the shop's closed. Shop's closed. Can't see the coffee. Wish we could.
We do not have any peanut butter.
I'm gonna have to run across the street to find peanut butter.
Jesse makes a mad dash in search of the elusive peanut butter.
Peanut butter.
¿Tú conoces dónde están las galletas?
Galletas allá.
Aquí, aquí. Gracias.
I'm in a plastic bag.
Hey, get a couple of these.
Yeah. You find peanut butter?
We use that for spice.
Happy fruits, tuna,
Thanks.
bread, salsa, creamer, cookies, milk.
Potato chips.
Is there any peanut butter here?
See. Short legs. Okay. Here's snacks over here. No más. I'll let you know. Todos? What todos? 10,000.
Guys, don't forget the toilet paper. Get some beer for the experts.
We're done. We're done.
Okay.
Packed with their groceries, the athletes begin a 20-mile ride to camp.
Frankly, there's, everybody I like. There are some, maybe some people, I like more than others, but there is really, at the moment, nobody that I wouldn't want to be with here. I really like Eric. I really admire his commitment for the military service. I think he already spent 11 years. Especially for a guy like me who came to the United States and are able to enjoy the freedom and democracy, really thankful to guys like Eric. It's been nice that through the through the Moe, Paspen, Costa Rica, actually I was able to spend some really good quality time with everybody. As a matter of fact, last roommate was Troy. He's a quiet guy, which actually I like because I think I'm pretty quiet too.
San Joaquin? Sí, San Joaquin. Oh. Good one. Thanks, Hansa.
Platanillo.
Montaguineo. Okay. She says this is the way to Platanillo.
All right.
Descending, 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 climbing here.
That contour line is 600.
But that little omega thing is a climb at the other side of it.
Ted leads his team to their camp at Bajo Pecuare.
Woo, way to go, Ted.
That was fun. That was just good.
Right spot on. Just
Nice navigating.
Eric and his team are next to arrive. Magellan is nowhere to be seen.
I think Magellan just took off down the river and didn't make the first turn. So it depends on how long they took to realize that.
No, we just went a little too far on the paved road, didn't turn off on this soon enough. And we asked a lot of directions, and everybody was telling us the right way, but I think it was how we were asking the directions that might have messed us up. So we just gotta use our Spanish-speaking expert more and maybe have Andy and I step back a little less. We were pointing and saying the name of the towns, and everybody just say, "Sí."
See?
Definitely 8 days or 9 days on the ruta is going to strain our camaraderie, but we're just going to keep on keeping on.
Hans Ray, former world champion trials rider and expert judge in Costa Rica, does not believe in all work and no play. He decides to have a little fun with Jesse Rickert on the downhill.
Jesse, I think you just made up 5 minutes on Shackleton. That was fun. Smoking.
That was a good downhill.
Back to reality.
Nice work, Andy. Good job, Trent. I think I can. I think I can.
This is really helping.
With Trent in tow, Magellan finally arrives at camp to meet up with the other teams.
These guys are top athletes, and these guys go day after day, full speed, and it's not over yet. I have a little soccer field back here, and we're exactly 11 athletes, so we're gonna challenge the locals for a little game.
The global extremists and Hans join together as one big team and challenge the locals, who soon realize they are outnumbered.
The yellow team has one more guy. They don't know it. I don't think they know how to count.
hadn't given 100% during the game when Eric kicked the ball, he pulled his hamstring. Despite being outnumbered by the global extremists, the locals are victorious and take home the yellow jerseys.
I think I stick to bike riding.
Will Eric's injury prevent him from moving on? Will Team Magellan sleep in the rain? On the 5th day of the Ruta, the athletes begin their overnight jungle trek. They will head deep into the jungle and be blessed by an Indian chief. Sam keeps an eye on her injured teammate, Eric.
Eric's just going a little slower today because he had a little soccer match with the locals yesterday and he pulled a hamstring. We took some of his weight and hopefully he'll be able to pick up the pace a little bit and stay with the group.
You got to do what's best.
I'm fine with whatever you decide. If you decide you got,
it's not worth hurting it more and not being able to do anything else.
And it's gonna get. I think the hike is gonna get a lot worse. I mean, it's gonna be slick mud,
I'll go back there.
some water canyon stuff.
Really.
Just so you know, Martine's telling us it gets a lot harder up ahead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, very
Oh, well, we'll see you guys.
Keep it up.
All right.
Eric begrudgingly leaves his team.
Yeah. Life's not fair, but you still have to deal with what hand you're given, and that's what I'm trying to do now. And all I can do is be myself and hope for the best.
Bye, Eric. Take care of yourself.
I haven't given the whole voting off much thought as of yet because we still have a couple days of racing left, and anything can happen. Who knows? Could be me that's going home.
We won't win any flags today, unfortunately, which is probably the easiest day to get flags. But with 4 days of racing left and the overall time still being so close, we could win 4 flags on the final day.
The Toyota 4Runner escorts Eric back to camp where he will await his teammates' arrival.
Team Columbus has been this interesting mix of people from the get-go. We really just complement each other.
I just love being out in places where nobody else is and having solitude and peace and quiet and be out in nature and feel the elements, you know. I love it when it storms, I love it when it rains. It just makes you feel that much more alive and that you're really living life to the fullest.
The athletes arrive at the indigenous Indian camp and receive a blessing from the chief, a gift of strength from the forest floor of Costa Rica to take with them on their journey to Mount Everest.
Yeah, it smells good. See?
Hunter, don't even think about it. Only the food you bought yesterday.
After the blessing, the global extremists continue on to their camp.
Get you from coming from below.
Time to use the machete.
The athletes were not given a tent. They must use natural resources along with the provided tarp to build a shelter for the entire team.
Yeah, this is gonna work great.
We're gonna sleep on that tarp, but if we have to set up a wall, we have that ready to go.
So much for Team Magellan. Let's see what Shackleton is up to. Looks like you guys are up on a honeymoon here or something.
Well, it's pretty cozy.
We were hoping you'd bring us some beers.
Yeah, keep hoping.
I will tell you that I really enjoy being on a team with Troy. I mean, he to me is someone who is so solid. I mean, Troy is really a pleasure.
We have enough garlic to fend off all the vampires in all of Costa Rica.
Now, if you do this at home, you want to make sure you cut the garlic into smaller pieces.
Thanks, Julia. We probably could have used a little more sauce.
Someone to eat here tonight.
The athletes leave their jungle camp and cross a tributary on their way to the Baquari River. Eric recovers from his injured hamstring and is strong enough to rejoin the group. He arrives in a Toyota 4Runner at the river put-in. Petit crosses the river first. The athletes are now out of the jungle and about to get into inflatable kayaks. They'll be on the Pocari River until they reach the Caribbean, which is the finish of the Ruta. Will the Class 4 Rapids help eliminate team members? Or will they be forced to make the decision themselves? Global Extremes Mount Everest, Forerunners of Adventure, presented by the all-new Forerunner, larger, more powerful, more capable. And brought to you in part by Camelback. Get cool water anytime with Camelback hydration systems. Camelback, keep moving. And by Yahoo Sports, the official internet partner of Global Extremes. Log on to sports.yahoo.com/Global Extremes for detailed information. The Pocari River defines Costa Rica as a whitewater paradise. Its Class 3 and 4 rapids and lush scenery are protected by the government. The first event on the Pocari will be an inflatable kayak slalom race.
Today we have 7 gates. 5 of them are green. That means that we have to go downstream in those ones. There's 2 gates with red color. That means that we have to go upstream.
My strategy is to try to at least smash into every one of the gates.
Stay right side up.
Try to hit as many gates as possible.
Smile a lot.
I don't know. It's hard to strategize.
Never done anything like this, so.
I have no business kayaking in the river.
In this individual event, the athletes will be scored on 2 runs. Jesse always has fun, but his inexperience shows. Trent attacks the gate like a bull in the ring. Andy shows them how it's done. For additional bonus points, the athletes have to flip the boat and get back in before the last green gate. Eric, a true amateur in the water, attempts to conquer the rapid. But the river conquers him.
And made that second gate perfectly. And then I missed the 2 easy gates.
Jesse Haynes has put his game face on. The athletes can go through the gate, forwards or backwards for points.
Go, Troy! You got it!
Here comes fantastic Sam. He just got bumped by Jesse Haynes to 4th place. He needs to be faster than in her first run in order to get a flag today.
Colorado mountain girl Colleen has no trouble in the rapids. Expert kayaker Andy Cora makes a flawless run.
Right on, and there's a guy who just getting his 3rd individual flag right now, Andy Cora, right on.
Andy!
Andy!
Thank you very much.
All right. 2nd place, Jesse Rickard, right on. That's already his 2nd individual flag. And
the positive comeback of the day was Jesse Haynes.
Yeah. Comeback kid.
I finished third behind two good kayakers, Jesse and Andy. I'm stoked about that. I can't believe it.
Back at their riverfront camp, the athletes get cleaned up for a surprise party.
Press those teeth, Trent. You're looking better already.
Good to shower every couple days.
I'm scanning for zits.
I'm putting together my outfit for this evening.
Brush my chipped tooth.
It's all about how you look.
I think it's gonna look smashing.
We'll be right back with more Global Extreme from the whole end.
Will the athletes get carried away in the rapids? The toughest part of the Costa Rican expedition remains the elimination of 2 athletes. Stay tuned for more Global Extreme. Global Extreme's Mount Everest, Forerunners of Adventure, presented by the all-new Forerunner, larger, more powerful, more capable, and brought to you in part by Rolling Rock, and by Columbia Sportswear Company, and by Giro. Impact is everything. The last 2 days of their journey across Costa Rica will have the athletes continuing on the Puquari River until it meets the Atlantic Ocean. Local guides Eric and Ursula will judge the global extremists on safety and boldness.
So what we're going to do is judge you on your ability to pick a line, a safe line through the rapids, and then how well you execute that line that you decided to do on the rapid.
The athletes kayak to the first major rapid, where they see firsthand the best the Puquari has to offer.
I feel more at home in the mountains. I feel more at home in the cold, but I'm adapting to the water as much as can be expected.
Swimming and paddling is not my top priority. I'm good at long distance, I'm good at endurance and, extreme skiing, ice climbing, just name it. I was over 21,000 feet high and I felt really good about my experience.
I'm just an average Midwestern boy out here trying to have some fun. I grew up pretty simple Midwestern life, and I don't think any of the things I've done or that I do are extraordinary, and I decided long ago that I was going to live my dreams, and so I'm out here trying to do it, and I think life's too short to not do that.
This is the first rapid that's going to be scored, okay? Basically, we're using a scale from 1 to 5, depending on your lines. Remember, we're going to score safety first, but also boldness.
Setup is really important, and speed is really important.
I just listen to whatever Jesse tells me to do, and I try to be a good follower.
What you really need to concentrate on is strong, steady strokes all the way down and all the way through the hole.
We're taking the bold route. We'll take the left side, coming down here.
Eric and Troy push the limit and take the riskier line on the left side of the boulder. Ted and Petit err on the side of safety and take the easier right side of the boulder. Feeling confident, Trent and Andy drop in on the hard line. Their teammates follow suit. Sam faces the wall of water alone. Since Team Shackleton only has 3 members, she paddles solo. The next section requires a portage. The Puquari poses many obvious dangers. Another discussion ensues as the athletes check out the best lines on the next rapid.
It's always easier said than done. There are things you need to be good at doing that we haven't had a chance to demonstrate yet. Just want to get through and get to Iceland, hopefully.
Rapids were good for us because there's a lot of river reading in there, and I think that played to our advantage. I think we made some good time early on because of that. But as we've seen over and over again through Africa and in Costa Rica, you never know what's going to happen. I mean, somebody has a bad day, you fall behind. Somebody gets injured, you take a wrong turn, you take something for granted, and your history. I feel like I kind of blew it for our team. I flipped, and I feel I'm obviously responsible for it. I'm the most experienced paddler, and in the boat with Trent and I, I'm definitely the most experienced paddler. The plan for the day was to take bold lines to play it safe. And playing it safe means, not flipping your boat in the middle of a big rapid. And I let that happen.
Paddling downriver took me back to many special moments I spent with my father lying on a rock in the middle of the river in front of the house where I grew up. And I remember him telling me to always listen to the river, that the river speaks the truth. All of that rushing water in those canyons brought that back to me, and it became a special moment for me. Aside from the beauty that was surrounding me and being there in the present was the voice of my father and my family, my dog, and all those amazing people who support me back home.
What a day.
I think we did really well. I crashed and burned at one point.
Tomorrow, we continue on this river for about 35 kilometers towards Matina is our finishing line. Watch out for the crocodiles. There's some big ones out there.
Oh, nice. That's good news. Well, that just makes you paddle faster, that's for sure.
Good luck, you guys.
The final paddle to the Atlantic, and then the decision. Which two athletes will be eliminated? The answer when Global Extremes return. At dawn on the last day of the Costa Rican traverse, the athletes will swap their inflatable kayaks for sea kayaks and paddle 20 miles to the Atlantic Ocean, where they will make the decision who will go on to Iceland, the last leg of the journey before Everest.
Magellan still in the lead, but Columbus, if they win today and Shackleton gets second and Magellan third, Columbus will not only take the overall, but they will be the guys moving on to Iceland.
Magellan started out pretty aggressively and got a lead right off the bat. As soon as we realized we had a lead, I think Colleen and I wanted to really maintain that lead.
Hansa took off ahead of us and was impossible to catch. So the rest of the day, my only thought was try and catch him because we have to stay with him.
In this last event, everything came together for me. It just was so effortless. I wasn't really even racing, but I was always ahead, and it just was one of those days that I wasn't even trying, but it was so easy.
Shackleton knew that we had 5 flags and Magellan had 11, and there was really no hope for us to catch up. I really was just more interested in enjoying the wildlife. No matter what it was going to come down to, Shackleton having to make a decision, someone wasn't going to be progressing.
We pretty much knew at the beginning of the race that it'll be probably inevitable that we're going to have to vote and eliminate one of our members for the trip to Iceland.
In all the events from Africa to Costa Rica, I would have to, and I'm not going to vote myself, of course, Jesse Petit or Hansa, I'd have to say Hansa.
I'm not trying to be egotistical here, but they know that if I'm off the show, then it increases their chances of climbing Mount Everest because, let's be honest, I've pulled them across Costa Rica.
We're faster. We wanted to do it today, so we've been putting the hammer down, and we're gonna, we think we can hold this pace to the end.
Team Magellan reaches the Atlantic first. They have secured the overall victory for the entire Costa Rican expedition, which means they move on to Iceland with their team intact.
Welcome to the Atlantic and welcome to Iceland. 48 hours and 2 minutes, coast to coast, from the Pacific side all the way to the Atlantic here at the Caribbean.
Columbus arrives on the beach in second place.
And here comes Columbus. They needed to win today in order to have a chance to move as a complete team to Iceland. They didn't win, so they're going to lose one of their persons today. But who's it going to be? Will it be Ted, Petit, Jesse, or Ansa?
Yeah, guys, helping everybody up to the last minute.
Magellan beat you by a mere 9 minutes.
Oh.
I know it's going to be a tough moment, and I hope you guys had some time to think about it or not, but this is the moment where we got to do it.
You know, like there is like all the personalities are just, you know, I would love to go with everybody to Iceland. Like I cannot eliminate anybody based on somebody I don't like. The way I decided to really make my choice is just based on, you know, experience that would somehow apply to Iceland or Everest. Unfortunately, Jesse, you know, he just had the least experience, but that's the only way I can make the decision and feel good about it. You know, I don't feel good about it, but somehow have a good conscience about it because I don't have any other, you know, thing to go by. Then that would be my decision.
I guess I was just going by endurance level and what would make the team go faster, but I guess I would have to say you because, you know, we were this is terrible.
That's okay.
Because, yeah, I know.
Don't worry. I mean, it's friends forever with you. Well, I don't have any problem.
Okay.
So.
I remember how the decisions went in Africa, and it was all drawn out. I mean, we've done breakfast, lunch, and dinner together for the past 6 weeks. All these races. There's not a lot you can conceal after that. I don't want anyone to be upset with this, but I would have to pick Hansa.
Has to be the girl that cries, right? I'd rather be on Everest with you guys than some of the people on the other teams, but we haven't had that option, you know?
I know at one point I was thinking you, Ted, only because under certain stressful situations you'd like snap or get really angry. This is gonna go nowhere because since then I've realized that just happens and then you're done and you don't hold a grudge and you work very well under pressure. And so as far as a group, strength-wise and staying healthy and all that, I guess I'm gonna go with you, Hansa.
Okay. No hurt feeling, guys. You know, I mean, going back home is not a bad thing either. And, you know, really, you know, I like to stay friends. And I don't have a really big problem with this. I would like to go, but it's okay, right? Okay. Just look at it. It would be fun to go to Iceland, but it'll be fun to go home too.
It wasn't easy at all. There's not one person who I felt that way about, you know? It's like we were all pulling for each other the whole time.
All right, you guys.
Team Shackleton, having already made a dramatic decision in Africa to eliminate a teammate, now must make that decision again on a beach in Costa Rica.
All right, well, we'll make it short and sweet. My vote's for Sam.
My vote's for Eric.
My vote's for Eric. Sorry, man.
I already did this. We all already did this.
Well, I think it's easy to be critical, and I don't think that serves any function.
I don't have anything to add. I mean, I don't think any of us enjoy this process, and we've done it twice. And
All people have to do is watch the show and watch the videotapes of all the things that we've done since South Africa, and I think it'll be pretty apparent why they're voting me off. You know, it's just, you know, the bad side of human nature. It increases their chances of climbing Everest if the strongest person on their team is voted off. That's all.
I'm not going there.
No, I don't have anything else to say.
I'm being eliminated by, you know, people like Sam Gehring and Troy. I mean, when I start losing sleep over their opinions, you know, shoot me dead, sort of thing, you know.
This was a difficult and emotional decision for Sam and Troy. The next morning, after some reflection, Troy and Sam wanted to explain their reasons.
It was a close call in the decision between Eric and Sam. No matter what we were doing, Eric was always great. Always, always, always great. He was carrying heavy loads, he was doing a lot of stuff for the team, and he was always great. I know there were other times that he was hurting, and that's how I think the Marines work, you know? You put your head down, you grunt through it, and you press on. That doesn't work in the mountains, that doesn't work at altitude, and that doesn't work climbing. Sam, I always knew when she was hurting, I always knew when she needed help, I always knew when she was hungry. Eric, I did not, and I think that works well in the Marines, but I don't think it works well in the mountains. It can lead to problems. And Sam did try to get that point across to Eric, and you know, that's not where he's coming from, and that's not his background, so that didn't work.
Sometimes it's not easy to say, you know, I'm really hurting today and I need help. And that's something that, you know, I think all of us on the team picked up different times where Eric was definitely struggling physically, but you know, I think from his background and what he's been through, he's been in positions where maybe it wasn't all right to admit that, but I think that somewhere, like the kind of stuff that we've been doing, and in Everest as well, it's crucial for your teammates to know where you're, to know how you are, to like be able to gauge you.
You know, Eric's a great guy. I consider myself friends with Eric, and that's certainly why this was a very difficult decision for me.
I've had some great experiences here. I've met some great people, had some great opportunities. I'll still fly back home with my honor, my integrity, knowing who Eric Kapitulik is. And, you know, 5, 10, 30, 50 years from now, I'll go to bed at night still knowing who I am and what I represent.
Next week, we revisit the entire Costa Rican adventure as the global extremists zip through the canopies, ride 100 miles across the country, and battle the raging Pequari River all the way to the Atlantic Ocean. In 2 weeks, the global extremists and their Toyota 4Runners will travel to Iceland, where they will eliminate 4 athletes, selecting those that will climb Mount Everest. They will ski, trek across glaciers, and battle severe elements.
The weather is nasty. It's definitely the worst weather we've been in yet.
I've been on some pretty gnarly expeditions in the Arctic, Antarctica, but this particular day here in Iceland, this is as bad as it gets.
Ice bridges and black sand beaches have been minor obstacles compared with the weather.
There's a new meaning to cold and wet and windy.